Hello, and welcome to our session zero, our first session for Imperium Maledictum. This is three cycles from retirement. Imperium Maledictum is one of the newer of the 40K RPGs from Cubicle 7. They've got another 40K one called Wrath and Glory, which has its own system. The Imperium Maledictum is using the same base system as the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So the system kind of carries over between the two of those. Thus far, they've only put out the core book, one adventure, and the GM screen. So my name is Lowell. My pronouns are he, him. I say that very deliberately because there will be people who will immediately turn this off because saying your pronouns is a political statement. And if that's you, yes, turn this off. Because you're going to see me talk about safety tools later on, and then there'll be great tears running down your face. So just want to tell you, just so you know what kind of game you might be watching. So this is our session zero. I'm going to go through Pat's kind of what the setup is, what's in line with it, what my perceptions are of it. We're going to do that. We are then going to build our characters' group's patron, some choices to be made there. And then we're going to be building characters, getting some connections and figuring out who we are. I don't know how long this is going to take. There's some crunchiness to this. We will see. But this is intended to be our session zero. So, in concept, of course, this is a game set in the 40K universe. Uh, I found 40K back in the day of the original Rogue Trader game, played the miniatures back then, played through the 80s and 90s, and the very earliest 2000s. I managed a game room for a while, so I had to deal with rules arguments and 40K lore and all of that in the 90s that is still burned in my mind. But it's been literally a couple of decades since I've really engaged with 40K. But I have a great fondness for the old material. The old original material and a lot of the early things had a great deal of wildness, had satire. It pointed at absurdities of capitalism, of Thatcherism, of fascism. Those are all things that I remember and enjoy from that, the very goofy 40K things. So that somewhat informs my vision. Now, if you don't know the 40K universe that well, don't worry about it. It's just we're going to be playing in a kind of a dark science fiction setting. That's all you need to know. It's just that nearly everybody who's in an authority position is kind of a baddie, and that the world is kind of bleak in some ways. This is a humanity. The Imperium is led by the God Emperor, who may or may not be dead, but he's on his throne, and it expands across thousands of worlds. There are battles against what are called xenos. Any non-human creature is considered a xeno. There are humans who have changed evolutionarily. They are considered humans. They're considered sort of near humans. There are a couple of other terms for them, but they exist. But we inside the Imperium, we're not going to see many aliens. Uh, but this is a setting where in the current Warhammer continuity, something called the Noctis Eterna has happened. Essentially, there has been an event where the Rift of Chaos has opened up and has split the Imperium in two, and a lot of sectors, areas have been cut off for a while. People couldn't use their psychers, their psychic characters to jump through the warp to travel to other places. So there was a lot of devastation as a result of that. We are taking place as that has died down. We'll be in a place called the Makarian sector That is the name of the sector. There's a lot of details about that in the book. I may or may not draw on that. Knowledge of that background is not necessary. I'm just giving you a sense. There was a Lord Macarian who did a great crusade and brought the sector together after this big chaos rift, but he's gone. And now there's a lot of different factions and things that are aiming for power. Uh, Now, you will be operatives of a patron, your hand-picked agents carrying out your patron's duty. And we're going to figure out who they are, what they are about. You are independent specialists, but you will have a background that may connect you to the different factions of the universe that will build that up throughout. So that's our concept. That's our pitch, our approach. As I said, we're going to come up with our patron, uh, who they are, what factions they have influence in. We're going to decide their boons, which are things that they give to you as agents, like nice stuff. And you get one of those boons for free. That's a little bit different from the book has. I'm going to get one of those boons for free, but then you can take other boons. But for every boon that you want your patron to have, they also get a liability. And I will let people choose uh, if they want to take a boon, and then if somebody else wants to choose the liability. Otherwise, I will choose the liability, which may not be to your advantage. But we'll talk about that in a bit. Uh, we'll then do character creation, um, which is pretty basic. There's going to be some XP spend at the end that you can do now or later. Uh, Generally, our play will have a mission focus, meaning you'll be sent on a mission, you'll carry out that mission, you'll come back. This game, unusually for a more trad game, has some rules for downtime, for managing like what you do during downtime, whether you train or whether you build some things up. That's an option, and we'll definitely go through that procedure through play. This is a game that has a slightly crunchy combat system, but not too bad. One of the interesting ideas they have is that when you go to fight, I just mentioned this for your thinking because you may see this term appear in the rules. You can prepare, and if you prepared, you will have what's called superiority, and you can get levels of superiority that give you a bonus. Like if you've researched who your opponents are, if you've checked the scene, if you carried out plans ahead of time, that's a thing that you can do. So there's a kind of an interesting set of mechanics there for that. In terms of tone, uh, so Warhammer is the archetypical grim dark game. It is the archetypical game of a grim darkness in a far future. I think it actually says that on the cover of most of the books. Um, but as I said, especially early on in the history of 40K, there's an undercurrent, a tone of absurdity, humor, satire, and high weirdness. Uh, and that's sort of where I come out of. So there will be some of that in the game. It might be a little more like Space Marines from Aliens or picaresque characters, or even more diehard than Rambo in terms of how our characters are dealing with situations. Uh, it's still going to be dark, dangerous, and the universe is kind of nasty. Our characters are anti-heroes. They are not the baddies, though they may do shitty things. They do stuff to get things done, but you're not villains. And the patron that you make up may be kind of sketchy, but they are not going to be a villain at heart. So that's sort of my conception of things. This is a game that has possibility of body horror, has chaos mutations, We're going to see some elements in the background of fascism that you'll be reacting to. Most of the authority figures, by and large, will be awful, incompetent, or just stupid. So we will just keep that in mind. And I expect that the play is going to be investigations, maybe heists, maybe killing bugs and chaos things. Those are the kinds of sort of space hijinks that you're going to get up to. Now, to help us out and to keep things, on the same level here, as I mentioned at the start, we use a layered set of safety tools. The first of those kind of is this CATS discussion to so you all know kind of what the game is about. Then we have lines, fails, and ask first. That's on the safety and resources tab of the keeper. Hard lines are anything that we definitely do not want to see in play on screen. I particularly have marked out torture by the PCs as a thing. That's one of my important ones. We then have veils for anything that, if it were to appear in play, we would fade to black or we'd mention it off screen. Those are kinds of things that we don't want to necessarily deal with. And then we have ask first for anything that you're okay with that maybe being brought into the game, but you'd like to be warned. You'd like a check-in with that before that gets brought up by myself or by a fellow player. As we're doing the character creation process, please take a look at those and get those set. The next thing is the X card. The X card is used verbally, or this gesture that no one makes, but I do it every time, that marks out that there's something that you found objectionable, that you found problematic, that you found wildly off tone, and you'd like us to stop, go back a little, and cut. The only question we might ask is like, how far back do we need to cut, or do we need to stop for that? If, when you use the X card, you can explain why you've made that choice. You have the right to do that, but you're not required to. You don't have to. And you don't have to explain your decision for utilizing that safety tool. I also use the X card as kind of a calibration thing. If maybe something is starting to head towards a line or a veil or an ask first, and maybe we haven't caught it, we'll use the X card to calibrate that. We'll also use the X card maybe if someone's play is stepping on your toes, you can stop to calibrate, maybe take a breath there on that. The X card is a multi-purpose tool for that. Um, uh, Everybody, I know some of you have all played together, but you should always feel free to use the X card. Sometimes there's a social pressure not to do it. I mentioned Rich Rogers before we started the video, and he was talking about a situation he had recently where it was people he hadn't played with, and he didn't feel like he could X card. And he's been around a long time. He knows these tools. So it can happen. So the X card is out there. If you are uncomfortable with sort of publicly X carding something, you can also message me privately through the chat, and I'll try and keep an eye on that. So just remember that tool is out there. The last sort of formal tool that we have is we have our open door policy, which means that should you need to step away, should you need to leave for whatever reason, a personal health, Amazon's at the door, any of these reasons, please go ahead and do that. If you could tell us that you're going to be back, that would be great. That would help, but you're not required to do that. In addition, if when we get done with this session or even a later session, and afterwards you're like, ooh, this is not the game for me. This is not the game I want to be playing. That is absolutely fair. And you can just message me and say, thank you. You don't have to explain your choice, decision, anything like that. So just know that you have that right. The last little thing that's kind of a tangential add-on thing is we do have a romance matrix there on the safety and resources page off to the right. I don't know how much that's going to be an issue in play. It depends on how this game leans into it. I run a lot of Hearts of Wulin, so that might bleed over. Who knows? But you can put your choices about how you feel about that in play there on that step. And that is all of the basics. I'll also point out on the Safety and Resources tab, I have a Pinterest board that I put out there that I put a lot of stuff in. You would be amazed at the amount of AI generated 40K artwork that is there, and it all sort of looks the same. But I've tried to gather as many good pieces of 40K artwork as I can. The other thing, a tool I found yesterday, is there is a 40K name generator site. And I've got that link down there at the very bottom. If you are stuck for names, that is a good resource there. Um, so with that in mind, uh, I want to stop and see if anyone has any questions before I move on. Okay. So we are going to be coming up with our patron. This is the character who will be telling us what to do. And the first thing that we're going to be deciding is what their faction is. And if you look on the patron steps tab, you've got a quick list of those factions. And I'm going to briefly kind of talk through what those are about. So the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, uh, they are the ones who are responsible for the hunting, trading, and management of psychers. So in the 40K universe, psychers are powerful, but they are also connected to the forces of chaos. They are necessary for transiting starships and so on. They're really important, but there is a whole division that is about managing them, about going to planets and taking on all the new recruits. Some of them actually come back. A lot of them don't. But that's what the Adeptus Astra Telepathica handles. Uh, the Adeptus Mechanicus, they are the servitors of the machine god. These are the engineers. These are the people who make things. These are the people who build things. These are the people who run things. So they are important in that sense. The next one on the list is the Administratum. Let me get this here. Well, I'm going to jump down to the Astra Militarum here just because of the weird order that they've got it in the book versus this. So the Astra Militarum is essentially the Imperial Army, the forces there, the land forces, all of that kind of thing. The Adeptus Ministorum is the church, the imperial cult, not to be confused with the Inquisition, who carries out the will of the God Emperor and hunts down heretics and deals with unpleasant things. The Imperial fleet is the essentially the starships, the spaceships, and any kind of craft and things like that. And I think that the administratum that I have written there is a typo. So I'm going to skip over that. The last two, the infractionists. So an infractionists are, these are not part of the official Imperium thing. These are the crime lords, gang lords, that kind of thing. They are the fixers, the hive masters, the gangers, all of those kinds of patrons. Basically, if you wanted to do a more criminal style game. And then, last but not least, and probably the most open and generic, are a rogue trader and a rogue trader dynasty. There's a recent uh, video game for this called Rogue Trader that is available that on the console has the worst controls known to man. Just to put that out. That's my little review. But basically, the rogue traders are important, noble families that have been given a writ and allowed to travel out in the stars and explore and trade and carry out jobs and expand the empire. They are kind of merchant privateers in their own way. So we need to decide what kind of patron we would like to have. And this will kind of set the tone for the game. So I want to go around and see like, if you have a couple of ideas of ones you'd be interested in, or even ones that you're like, I do not wish to do that. Uh, uh, I think that's fair. So, Alan, can I start with you? If you had to choose a couple of these that you would be interested in having as a patron.
Well, my name is Alan. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm referencing the 40th anniversary uh, UK postage stamp issue
Oh
celebrating
God.
Warhammer's 40th year last year. Um, I stopped buying White Dwarf at issue 97
Oh Jesus.
when it became the Warhammer house book. I've never played Warhammer. I must be one of few Britons. I was just a decade too old. Um, so I'm very open. I love the idea of psychers. Um, I love the idea of a trader dynasty. Um, those I guess would be my
Okay.
two first thoughts.
All right. Let's. I've written those
And
down.
then I'll get rid of the stamps.
Okay. Jay.
Hello, I'm Jay. I'm he, him. I've played way too much 40K. We do kill team at the house here
Mm-hmm.
now. Um, I've gotten Tyranids from you that we still
Yeah.
use in our kill team games. So,
Awesome.
um, Inquisition, that would be my first pick.
Okay.
But I'm also up for the Trader Dynasty or the Astra Telepathica.
Okay.
Um, I'd be okay with either. Those would be my top. I'm not against any of the other ones, but
Okay.
those are the three that stand out to me.
All right. Dom, what about you?
Hello everyone, my name is Dom, he, him. I've never played 40k. I've perused around the. I've been interested, heard of 40k. I did a bit of like research as it came up. I know bits and pieces, not too much. We'll see how much my limited knowledge of 40k hinders potentially our plans. But from the available ones, I'm kind of leaning towards the Astra Tepali, Tepali, Telepathica
Okay.
because you told us that they basically go and find psychos, and I have a feeling that if we take it, we're going to be given a lot of like psycho-focused missions, which could be very dangerous, but also I think could be probably quite fun. And I think perhaps the Inquisition, just because Inquisition would put us into conflict with a lot of factions, and that could also lead to interesting scenarios. I'm fine with any patron origin, I believe, but those are kind of like the two that I feel like could lead us to interesting scenarios the most.
Okay. Awesome. Sabine.
Hey, I'm Sabine. I use any pronouns. I have not played Warhammer 40K. I've played some of the fantasy stuff, and I had a friend who was very interested in 40K but sadly was very enthusiastic about it. And that made me like go like, oh, Horus Heresy, yeah, fun. And then I lost the thread. Yeah, that's my background. As to factions, I think I mean, I'm fine with everything anybody said. I like the idea of having a void ship as a free boon, but limitless authority also sounds great, or an astropathic communication. So I am basically pretty good with it. Whatever we choose. I think from what Dom said, Inquisition might make for the most interesting scenarios, maybe. So we can go that if we can get past the nobody expects the whatever we are
Yes.
Inquisitions jokes.
All right. So I've heard repeated votes for Telepathica, Traitor, and Inquisition. I think those are the three I've heard the most of. So
Can I change Trader to Inquisition?
okay. So Inquisition versus Telepathica, I think, are the two that we have there. And given that we heard Mad J come out of the gate with a strong vote for the Inquisition, I would suggest that we go with the Inquisition as our choice there. Uh, so we are going to have an Inquisitor patron, and now that we know that, if you will go to the patron choices, so your patron is a member of the secretive organization tasked with battling insidious foes of the Imperium, destroying enemies both without and within. Feared throughout the Imperium and through intimidation, threat, and Imperial sanction, Inquisitors command almost limitless authority in pursuit of dangerous quarry. So you have a choice of your duty. Basically, what the focus of your Inquisitor is. First is the Ordo Hereticus Inquisitor. I'm going to be pronouncing Latin every which way in this, so I apologize right now. So for the Ordo Hereticus, rooting out heresy in all its forms, rogue psychers, heretical preachers, secretive cultists have all met a grisly end at the hand of the Ordo Hereticus Inquisitor. And for every traitor they've uncovered, however, a dozen more worm their way ever closer to the heart of the Imperium. That gives you the limitless authority boon. Or the Ordo Xenos Inquisitor. Your patron is a servant of Ordo Xenos, concerned with locating and purging inhuman taint wherever it is found. Many an Org Wog or Drukari incursion has been inverted by the subtle work of an Inquisitor and their acolytes. Some make use of Xenos weaponry, turning the tools of their hated foes back on them. So we've got a choice of two of those. Anyone have a strong feeling? One is rooting out cults and sinister figures that are more human-like, and the other is fighting monsters and bug hunts and that kind of thing.
Well, clearly heretics should not be allowed to survive, particularly if they are left-leaning.
Yeah, I hear you, but I always wanted to fight an orc war. Maybe we can do that in our spare time.
Okay. Jay, Dom, your thoughts?
I'm not gonna help this discussion since I'm find it either or, so
That's fair. Jay?
I'll take either. I'm
Okay.
happy with either. I'm just happy we have an Inquisitor.
Okay. Let's go with Ordo Hereticus, and I promise that we will see orcs at some point. So that will be our thing here. So I'm going to put that now. I need to put that in the faction record, or I'm going to mistype everything here, but that is okay. And then that is the copy that Ordo Hereticus. So patron record. Come back to pay grade. So the boon that you get for free here at the start is limitless authority, which means that you are when you use your patron's influence, you may choose to use their influence with the Inquisition instead of the target's faction. Influence is basically your patron, your characters are going to have relationships to the different factions that will have a rating that can be applied, can be used at different points here. So limitless authority means that you have more access to that influence. Let me now grab this and patron record, free boon, paste out formatting. Okay. So the next step that we are going to do is we are going to determine your patron's motivation. And we do that. If you look on the patron steps page, we have the Inquisition. And then I need someone to roll me a D10.
I'm reminded that Jake should do it since he was the most excited for the Inquisition.
Okay, Jay, please roll us a D10. You are muted.
Sorry, I was pulling up Roll With Me.
Oh, yeah.
I have a 4.
Have a 4. So your Inquisitor is focused on information, on gathering information, finding secrets. So we will put that in patron. Motivation is information. And then we someone else should roll a D10 so we can tell your patron's demeanor.
I'm willing to do that.
Okay.
I like rolling d10s.
Yes.
It's a 10.
It is a 10. Your patron is inscrutable.
I love that. I love that.
Conceals their personality behind a veneer of stoic professionalism or smooth gentility. So put that in the patron record there. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do, and I'm going to give you some time to look over this, is you've got this one boon for free, this limitless, as your bonus there. Now, if you look in the character keeper, we have a tab for patrons' boons. You may take any of these boons. However, two things. For every boon you take, you're going to get a liability for your patron. And if you would like a guide to what things are, when you look on the patron choices, there, they have some suggested boons and suggested liabilities. If you're like, this is too much shit, lol, which would be fair, then I encourage you to take a look at that. So I want to give everybody a couple of minutes to kind of skim through this. And then I'm going to come around and see what people want. And you can choose to take a boon, establish a liability for a boon we've already taken, or say pass. It is up to you. So I'm going to pause the recording and give everybody a couple minutes on this. Has anyone chosen a boon that they absolutely want to have? I saw some nods there. Jay, what is the boon that you think that you absolutely want for this Inquisitor character, for this patron?
Spy Network.
Spy Network.
Yes.
Okay. I like that one very much. Is everybody cool with that? Okay. So put that in the patron network. So Wounds Network. I'm going to misspell network, of course, immediately, just to get that out of the way. And the patron boons.
To
And I'm
throw
going
the
to,
heretics off.
yes, I'm going to highlight that in the thing so we know that we've got that. So we've got a spy network for our Inquisitor patron. Sabine, do you have an idea for another boon you'd like?
I have an idea for a liability I'd like.
Okay, what is the liability you would like?
That's the, where are you? Convoluted communique.
Okay,
Because I feel that matches the inscrutable nature of our patron.
okay. Insists on only using coded communications with ciphers that change regularly and may obscure the message they're trying to convey. I love that. That is excellent. Uh Dom?
There's a few that interest me. I think that two that I'm like a torn between the most are Sancta Obscurus and Witch Hunt.
Okay. So Sanctum Obscurus gives access to a secret safe house hidden from the Imperium, festooned with equipment for clandestine activities. And then you said witch hunt.
Yes,
Okay.
I
Patron
think
has power to agitate a hunt for one or more of individuals suspected of being psychers. Either of those more appealing?
I feel like if our patient is an inquisitor. I feel like we need to have a witch hunt.
Okay. So once per mission, your patron can instigate a witch hunt. Is everybody cool with that? Sabine, I see you kind of
I'm not super excited about this, but we'll see. We can play it and we'll see
okay. I mean,
how it works.
if you
Okay.
okay. Let's do that and let's remember I'm going to highlight that. Uh but then oh I'm gonna yeah, so we got that wrong one there. I'm gonna highlight that, but then I'm also gonna highlight the sanctum to remember that that was the other one that we talked about. So we have that as a note there. Um, so we've got spy network, we've got the witch hunt, and we've got the communique as the other liability. So Alan, do you have another boon you'd like to add, or do you want to take the liability that is connected to that?
Well, I was very interested in the Sanctum Obscurus, actually.
Okay,
So works for me.
excellent. So we will do that. I will note the witch hunt as tentative on that, just so we have that in things. So get the patron sanctum. Obscurus. I'm once again going to completely misspell that. And then the other boon was witch hunt. Okay. Which means I will come up with two other liabilities. I may or may not tell you what those are. You know, there's a little box there for known. The one that you picked is known.
Nice.
We'll put a little mark there. So we have our boons, we have our liabilities. Let's see. And the last thing is background and influence. So I'm going to check my notes here. There's so many pages and so many things to be looked at here. Did we set anything else? We got a +2 influence to your own faction. I will go through and check and make sure there's no other influence modifiers there. It goes through. So let's talk about who this patron, our Inquisitor, actually is. We know they have a spy network. We know that they can call a witch hunt. They have the limitless authority of the Inquisition. And they have a secret hiding place. So, Jay, male, female, they, them. What are you imagining for this character?
I'm going they them because it's early. It's early, and I don't know. I don't have a feel
Okay.
yet, so
All
I'm
right.
going with they them.
All right. So we've got they, them. Alan, are you imagining an older, a younger? Like what kind of age are you picturing for our Inquisitor?
I think older,
Okay.
because I think that they've learned discretion, hence the inscrutable.
Okay.
Many of their contemporaries didn't make it this far.
I like that. And given that they have this sort of spy master and convoluted communique, Sabine, do you think that they are well respected by the other Inquisitors, viewed with nervousness? Like how is the perception of this particular Inquisitor amongst the sort of administration?
I think it's a bit divided.
Okay.
Some people are like, yeah, this guy's scary. This person, don't mess with them. Don't mess with them. As other, they are just smoke and mirrors.
Okay.
So nobody's entirely sure what to think about them, which might be actually what they want.
Absolutely. Um, so that gives us a kind of a general picture of them. I will come up with some names and things, and we'll get that in there right now. In fact, actually, no, let me find that a name generator that I
Can
had.
I give them a title? Because I've just used
Absolutely.
that name generator and come up with the unrelenting legate of the hidden council.
Okay. Type that in the chat so I can
I
cut and
will do.
paste that in. Okay, I'm going to steal that. That will be their title. Then let's get a an actual name to, if we can do it. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Let me just take the Imperium. Oh, Inquisition characters. So your boss, your patron boss, is the unrelenting legate of the Hidden Council, Elam Grox. That is his name. So Grox is your patron there. Wrapping. So we will throughout play. There's a chance of modifying those faction things. That's the faction sort of globally of your patrons relationship. You'll have some tracking on your own for your influence. As you get contacts, you can accumulate those. And essentially, if you get enough contacts with a particular faction, you can turn them in to actually upgrade your influence with that faction. Otherwise, your contacts are kind of a temporary boost that can get expended, uh, you know, which is not a euphemism. So there we go. All right. So that gives us our patron, gives us a picture of them. We're going to take our first break here. We're going to take 10, and then we're going to come back and we're going to start going through that character creation process. So take 10, and we will be back. So we're going to talk about the process of making up a character. If you go to the characters tab, I want to talk about what this actually means when you go and look at things, because it looks a little more complicated than it actually is. You have your stats there on row 13, and they are weapon skill. And I should have put this as a pop-up. Weapon skill is basically hand-to-hand, swords, anything like that. You have ballistic skill. Ballistic skill is for any kind of shooting, firing, throwing, anything like that. You have strength, which is strength. That's your physical strength stat. You have toughness. That's your constitution, your physical resilience, those kinds of things. You have agility. Agility is our movement, dexterity, coordination, all of that stat. Intelligence, classic. Here's our int score to see how smart we are. Perception, that's what the per is there. So our spot hidden, our notice things stat. Willpower, which is the ability to resist outside influence, the ability to handle psychic onslaughts, those kinds of things. And then fel is fellowship. That is our charisma stat. That is our getting along with other people. That's our charm, all of that. You're going to get some points here in a bit to raise those numbers. And you're going to raise that under the starting line. They've got a system for advances. I don't want to talk about what advances mean for the stats because they're not going to matter for a while. But right now, your starting and your current will be the same. And I believe I have it set that those should calculate up automatically. So I want to point down then, those are our stats. And then we have our skills. And there are 2 columns of skills. Most of these are self-explanatory for what they do. I don't think any of them are obscure, but if you have any questions about them, you're going to get some points to get advances for skills. And you might say, what does that mean, Lowell? It means that they've got some weird terminology in the game. Basically, you get some advances to put into a skill, and each advance that you put into a skill, you write that in. So if you wrote in 1 advance, or then you would actually write in 5. Each advance is worth 5%. Okay. Each advance is worth 5%. You will note that there's a 20 in the first column for each skill. That's because I'm referencing the stat that it uses. So you will change the advances. It will read from your stat, and the total is the stat plus the skill. This is one of those games where it's this stat plus this skill 99% of the time. Like when you go to roll it, it does that. And that will be percentages. You're rolling below that on a D100.
One question.
Yeah.
What's intuition compared to awareness?
So intuition is more of our kind of looking at something and putting facts together, or maybe even like a detect danger, that kind of instinct, where awareness is much more about like searching a scene. There are overlaps on those two, and I think you could probably make an argument as to which of the two you're using in any particular situation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's a good question. You will see below those skills, there are things that for specializations, don't look at that. Don't worry about that. That's for a long-term play. Don't even think about that. There are skill specializations. Don't think about it. Okay. I'm even going to hide those rows now, but I wanted to show you that they were there. But right now, we're going to start with what you're going to get. You're going to get, here's your choice. You can choose to spend points to set those stats, or you can choose to roll. So if you decide to spend, you will be getting all the stats start at 20, and then you have 90 points to distribute out amongst them. There are 9 stats. If you would like to test your luck and follow the fickle finger of fate, you may instead choose to roll 2d10 plus 20, so 2d10 for each of the stat plus the base 20, and then arrange those stats as you like. So it is up to you how you wish to do that, whether you want to take that risk of rolling those numbers. You will get some points at the end to do some slight add-ons to stats, but it's mostly going to be more cost-effective to spend them on skills.
So just so I understand that,
yes,
roll 2d10 9 times and arrange them in any order you like.
yeah, 2d10 plus 20, 9 times, and arrange them as you like, or just spend 90 points. What it's saying is, on average, you're going to roll a 10.
Right, right. I'm like, that doesn't sound so terrible. 2d10 plus
No, I'm going to start rolling now.
Yeah, I think I like that.
In fact, what I'm going to do is to roll 18 d10s and count them in twos as I go down.
I think
because then I've got one column to work with.
That is fair, a fair way to do that. So I'm going to let you choose your poison and assign those stats.
I like that.
Should I roll in roll with me so everyone can see, or should I roll in another tab just so I don't clutter the window and make it
I will
difficult?
not check. I will not be checking your work. You can do whatever is easiest for you to manage.
Just a question: if we all do this, then
Yeah,
Alan, you were better than average.
Yeah, 102 divided by 9.
Wow, yeah,
so that's slightly above average. If that's
it's
maybe the roller has done its good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But one of those is adding 5. 2 of those are adding 5, just so you know.
How do I code these in the control line? What do I need to write down?
So to be roll 18 d10, right?
Roll slash 18 d10?
No, just 18 d10 and hit
just
return.
18 d10. Okay, cool. I'm doing the same thing.
Okay.
This is what could go wrong.
That's right. What could go wrong? I'll be next.
Okay, you'll be next. Then wait a minute.
Now I'm too interested in the dice roll to actually start allocating. I just need to see what's coming up.
But I need to write mine down too. So,
Yep.
Jay, did you roll?
Oh no, okay.
No, we're
Yep.
waiting for you.
No, oh wow, you rolled one, you rolled two. Oh,
Oh
okay.
wait. It didn't. Where are all my dice? It only rolled it once. Did I do that wrong?
You
Well,
have to,
I think you did. Did you hit two? Did you write 2d10?
Oh, I
Because
see. It's in
because
two
that'll
different
give you
places. Yeah.
2d10. It's very
Yeah. No.
literal.
Okay. I see what's happening here. Yeah. So I did the here it is. That should be it. There we
yeah.
go.
Ah, there you go.
Okay.
Oh,
Inter
94.
oh no. Well,
Whew, yeah. Yeah.
well, I mean, that's still better than 90. Let's say what I got here. I got a 7. That is not very helpful. Um, I will try this. Yeah, there we go. See, I got an 89.
89.
That's bad, but well,
but
it's
only by
fine.
one
Okay,
point.
okay.
It's
I guess I'll
fine.
do the same. So up in the top, I just put 2d10 times 9.
You can do 18 D10.
18d10 and just count them as pairs.
Yes, pairs.
Okay, let's do this. What do I get?
Okay.
Okay, I
Oh,
got
there
a
you
first.
go.
Yeah. And you should be able to, I believe, see
Okay.
your previous rolls, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 If you go to
Yeah.
roll history, you can see them all.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Which is good.
All right, I'm going to let you all.
Do we want to talk about what kind of characters we're making, or do we just throw
Yeah.
points at stuff we think is interesting?
Well, let's do that. And one of the things is where you're putting those numbers, you're changing the starting number.
Yeah, I know.
Don't put anything in advances. Leave
Yeah.
advances alone,
Yeah.
Alan.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, called you out. So yeah, you
So,
can
hang on
change.
then.
Yeah, it's 20 plus whatever you're adding there.
Oh,
So
right. Okay.
okay. So let's talk about what kind of characters you're imagining, and just in the general sense. Now I'll talk about what the role templates are going to be in play.
Ah, that would be helpful.
Yeah. So uh, we have a few kind of quote unquote character classes. And by a few, I mean there are five. There are six, sorry. There is an interlocutor.
Mhm.
That's a word I have a very hard time saying. Basically, that's our talkie character. They solve problems with words. Um, then there's a mystic. Uh, they will probably be a psyker, having psychic powers, if you want to do that. There is the penumbra. That is our sneaky thief assassin character type. There is the savant. These are experts and scholars, tech priests and the like. There is a warrior, our classic guardsman, shooter, all of that. And there is the zealot. The zealot is a catch-all fanatic.
Sure.
Alan, what kind of character are you leaning towards? I mean, a particular role or a particular mode of play?
Zealot.
Okay, you're looking at that zealot.
Heretics must die.
Okay. Sabine, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I was going in the same direction actually, but I might change that to what do I could be a psyker, so I could be a weird one.
Yeah, if you want to do the
Yeah.
psychic stuff,
Okay.
okay. Be a mystic, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
what do I need for that though? What
so
kind of
definitely
stats?
want willpower
Willpower is
as
good.
would be an important stat.
Okay.
Um, uh,
Or psychic mastery, right? And
and then
presence. Ooh.
for skills,
Mhm.
for you'll want awareness, discipline, intuition, all of those things. But
Mhm.
um, definitely willpower will be an important one.
Okay, I'll take
Yeah.
that as my highest, and I don't have that many high stuff, so that's fine.
Jay, what are you thinking about?
Uh, I'm torn between savant and warrior.
Okay.
If you want me to make this easier for you, I was thinking of rolling up a Mechanicus character, so I would like to take Savant.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I will be the warrior.
Okay. Look at those numbers.
Part of me wants to put those dice rolls in last, because some of the choices we've just made in the character steps will define some pluses and minuses, won't they? And then you could almost use the dice rolls we've made to try to put something right or exaggerate something. You see what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yes.
If you want to sit on that when we move to the next step, and then figure it out. I am good either way you want to approach that.
Yeah, because as I look at it, there are some fixed improvements or whatever with the various factions and then rolls, and then the random bit we've just
Right.
done.
The only thing that's going to affect those stats is going to be your background.
Mhm.
You're not going to get stat bonuses for your roll.
Oh, I see. Oh. Right. I'm looking at character steps,
Character steps.
and
So
it
you will
says
get
choose faction. So suppose Adeptus Astra Telepathica.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. You're right. They do have that is for the faction. So you'll get some bonuses for faction. You will get some bonuses for origins. I'm sorry. You are correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, can I rescind my idea of being a psyker? Because I think I want to fight something. I don't need to be a warrior. It's something on the spy, maybe. Spy sounds good.
Yeah. Do the penumbra.
Spy assassin thingy. That sounds more fun.
So if you've got your roles noted down, even if you haven't put them in or not, the next step is going to be choosing your origin. This is the kind of world that you came from. Agricultural, feudal, feral, a forge world where they made things, a hive world, which is massive mega cities, Necromunda, hives down below. Shrine worlds are temples. Scalia, Progenium is essentially schools, and then Voidborn means you're born on a ship. Um, uh, so, Alan, what do you want for your origin?
Oh, no brainer. Shrine World.
Okay. So you get 5 to your willpower, and then you get to put 5 to int, perception, or fellowship.
So just so I'm clear then, I put that 5 where it says starting.
Yep.
My 20 will become a 25 in willpower.
Yep, that is
and whatever
correct.
it says in the rest.
Right.
Okay.
And you get, and you can write that under
Holy icon.
notes that you have a holy icon. Sabine, what kind of world would you like to come from?
I think I'm from a hive world.
Okay. So +5 agility, +5 to ballistic perception or fellowship, and you get a set of ugly filtration plugs.
I always wanted to have a set of ugly filtration. I mean, everybody can have pretty filtration plugs, but ugly ones, right? They don't work any better, but
Right.
still.
Dom, what world do you want to come from?
We already told me plan of making a Mechanicus, so a Forge would only make sense.
Okay. So int, and then +5 to either BS, toughness, or agility. And you have a vial of sacred unguents.
What's an Angus?
Like oils or holy liquids.
Frankly, wearing all those pieces of armor, you need lotion.
Yes. True. And
Thinking
then
about it now, I probably should have just taken out like a dictionary of biblical terms just
Yes,
without me.
they do have the oddest choices of terms. Jay?
I'm also from a shrine world.
Okay. So you also have a holy icon. Okay. Now, once you have that decided, there are the factions. These are where you grew up, what you were trained in, like where you gained your skills. They're the same ones that we saw when we were talking about our patron before. So you can choose Inquisition or you can choose something else. You have two approaches to this. If you look here, I've got the Astra Telepathica, Mechanicus, all those things. If you look there on row 11, you can take those things, which gives you some bonuses to stats, some advances to spend on skills, and some particular uh, uh, talents and so on. Or if you want to not have to work out the picks, they've got some duties down below. So you would get what is shown on row 12 as a benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pick one of the things below. So if you chose from Telepathica, you could choose get the knife, mono weapon, robes, instrument of divination, and solars, and then you would pick either black ship crew member, sanctioned psyker, or sister in waiting. So, Alan, are you coming from the Inquisition?
Well, it's either the Inquisition or the Adeptus Ministorum, it seems to me.
Okay.
And I'm torn between at the moment Exorcist and Missionary. Can I have a moment?
Please, absolutely. I think that has narrowed it down a bit.
I must commune with the Emperor that never dies.
Uh,
Jay, what are you thinking?
well, so I was gonna say, don't take too long of a moment because I'm looking at Exorcist and
Oh well,
Scout.
go for Exorcist. That will simplify things for me.
You
Um,
sure?
yeah. I mean, all the Methodists that came before me are screaming preacher at me. Um,
Okay.
so
Uh, Dom, what are you thinking?
I think I'm going to probably just not take one of the optional ones and just allocate what I want by myself.
Okay. Off the Adeptus Mechanicus, I assume?
Yes, of the
Oh,
Adeptus Mechanicus.
perfect. And Sabine.
So let me get this right. I can take the optional thing, choose one of the following duties, and then I get the stuff that's written there. I don't have to choose anything, right?
Correct.
And then I have to choose my duty, and that could be a scout, which I think is might be pretty neat.
Yeah.
And gives me a chameleoline cloak.
I wonder what
Which
that could do.
it can hide my ugly
Yeah,
filtration thingies. That's what I can do.
perfect. So I'll give you a few moments to write those picks in.
Now for the skills, we also just for the skills we put them in the advancement tab, correct?
Yep. So where it says like plus, where it says dexterity 1 or logic 1, that means you'll actually write in 5 for each of those ones. If it says 2, you'd write in 10. You'd write those under advances on the skills.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Sure, please.
This thing says I get the drill talent, but the drill talent says I have the requirement of 1 advanced discipline.
Ignore all of the requirements during character
Ooh,
creation.
I love
We ignore all of them. They have no
Yes,
place.
I'm very good at ignoring stuff.
Yes. That was one of those things I was reading the rules. I was like, this seems really restrictive. And then in one place I found it saw ignore all the requirements. And of course, the text for any of those talents is on the talents tab.
Just as an aside, Lowell, you are currently recording the sound of
Yes,
clicks.
yes. So I thought I would chat just a little. Okay. So I do want to mention. So this is a percentile based game. We're rolling a D100. One of the things that they do in this game is when you go to look at your relative success, we actually kind of determine a success level for that. So we actually, like, let's say you needed a 50 or less to make a roll, and you rolled a 30. What we do is we look at the tens position for those two things. So if you needed a 50 and you rolled a 30, you would take 3 from 5, and that's 2 success levels. If it was like you rolled a 29, that's uh, uh, 2 from 5 is 3 success levels. There are a couple of places in the game where we'll be looking at the 10 spot on numbers and on rolls. So I just warn you of that. This is a game that has advantage and disadvantage. If you have advantage with a roll, then if it would be better to swap the tens and the ones, then you may do that. If you're rolling with disadvantage, if it would be worse to swap the tens and the ones, then you must do that. And there will be some figured stats, and I'll go through those when we get to that position. Once you have those in, you'll see down below the faction and duty, the roles are listed there. So you can go ahead and move on and look at the talents, do the skill advances. Oh, you do have specializations in the role thing. Oh, I forgot about that. I lied. You do have specializations.
Yeah.
You said ignore it though, so I just
I
crossed it
know.
out.
I'm so dumb. I forgot that you got those during the rolls.
If this thing says each skill can have up to 2 advances at the start, that means even if I'm offered more advances from rolls or something like that, I can actually put them in, or
Yes.
can I? Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah, you can if you want.
I can put more than 2 in there if I want or not? I'm sorry.
If it says if your things give you like specifically that would give you more than 2, then you will go ahead and take those.
No, it says I have 3 advances to spend on skills, but I already have 2 in stealth, so I can't put 3 more in there, right?
No, you can't.
And be stealthy, max stealth face.
No.
Damn.
Because I don't want to mess with the specializations and because they don't matter that much, where it says you have like 2 advances to spend on specializations for those particular skills, you may instead put those advances into those skills. That will make my life easier. Also, I will say there are some obscure terms that don't make a lot of sense for some of the things. They are the worst when we get to gear. Many of the pieces of gear have names that I'm like, why is it called that? So just telling you that.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah. Good. It does look the calculation does work right. I am now going to pause the recording because I know it's going to be a bit while you're choosing your talents. I'm going to do that. So what I want to do kind of as our last steps here is I want to point you to, you're going to have 500 XP to spend, and you can do that now, later. I recommend later when you have a time to look at this after this. If you go down on the character steps tab in the like first column down to about 28, row 28 there. A new talent costs 100 XP. So you could buy 5 new talents if you wanted. You could improve your stats, your characteristics like ballistic skill, weapon skill, things like that. It is very expensive. So, for example, if your presence attribute is 41 to 45, each single point costs 60. You could increase your skills. Each point that you raise a skill by is 50 points.
By point.
By 5.
5. Okay.
By 5
right.
is 50 points. And now
And does that
now
can we
you
go back and add those to ones we've already put 2 into?
Yes, the cap is now 4 when you're spending with experience.
Okay.
Thank you. That is nice.
Yes. This is a little more generous than the book gives us. The book has a whole thing about, well, you could roll for this, or you could take the set picks and you get more experience. But I've decided let's just give a chunk and make it easier for this process. But that is something to keep in mind. What I would like to do is have us introduce our characters so at least we get those on stage today. So we talk about those. And then next time we'll talk about connections. Uh, we'll introduce your patron on screen and get you on your first mission. I know what it is. I am already ready for that with this particular uh,
Yeah.
uh, thing. Yes,
Sorry, I have another question with the
please.
advancements because it says, oh, yes, that makes it easier. Thank you. If I can read, I can read.
Okay.
I have not totally failed my role, just a little.
So, Alan, I'm going to move across character keeper wise. Uh, Let us begin. Tell us about your character, how you're picturing them, what you're imagining they're like, and maybe what talents you have, especially.
Okay, so I will be playing Hezek van der Klaar, he, him, who is a zealous preacher in the Adeptus Ministorum. His talents, he is, of course, entirely faithful to the imperial cult. Um, his second talent is that of martyrdom. I am unafraid to die in the God Emperor's name. In fact, it would be a privilege. And that means that when I have one or more critical wounds, I gain plus SL to all tests I make equal to my willpower bonus,
Yeah,
which is 4.
4. Pretty significant.
So I will walk forward on the stumps of my legs to further the name and power of the Emperor. I also bear a holy icon. I am an icon bearer. When I lift a holy icon aloft, it sends my companion's heart soaring. And in fact, it is mounted on a staff that I never remove. And that's why that key is bent. My cure is a bent key. I could unlock the harness that would remove that holy item. I refuse to and have bent the key so it no longer works.
Okay. So that is different from your great weapon.
Oh, my great weapon is a vast hammer.
Okay. Vast hammer, huge staff with the a frame on you.
Mounted on my back on a harness, locked in.
I like that.
And anyone who offers to unbend that key is obviously a heretic.
That makes sense. Uh Next, Sabine. Tell us how you're imagining your character.
My character's named Narks Ironscar. I'll have to find a better picture. I don't like this so much.
Sure.
So maybe Narks goes by they, them, and I use a girl picture. I don't know yet.
Okay.
Narks comes from a hive world where a lot of people live, I imagine. And Narks was always pretty good at getting by. They got recruited to the Inquisitor thing for reasons. Let's not talk about it. Okay, I'm here on my own, in my own will, and I will find all the heretics and make them suffer for doing their bad heretical shit. Yes, I will do that. I think I have been drilled, so I've been trained to face down innumerable dangers of the universe, especially if I'm trained up by other trained warriors, which I'm not. But okay, fine. Or is anybody drilled here? No, nobody's drilled. That would be useful. But I think I have advantage on tests to resist the frightened condition anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, and I'm super unremarkable. I'm just, you see through me. I'm just a grunt. I'm just probably supposed to be there. I don't have to, roll when I'm moving. I can blend into the Imperial environment without making a test. Also, which is good for you, you do not lose superiority when I suffer a critical wound or die because you just don't notice. Oh, what? Wait, Narks? Oh, damn. Oh, well. And I am a burglar. I oh I okay, I'm have advantage on tests related to breaking and entering and fooling dragons, I think.
That is super nice.
Yeah. What stuff do I have? I have a lot of guns and a lot of knives. And this I traded my very heavy armor for a much nicer one that is not quite as heavy. But I also have several grenades. And I have these ugly filtration plugs and this faulty arterial clamp. Faulty arterial clamp. Well, I'm not talking about that, right? I know it's faulty. I
Mhm.
know from experience that it's faulty. Okay, that's all that I'm going to say about this. Don't use it, especially not on me. You can use the plugs. They're very, very well used, but they do the job they're supposed to. I'm not giving
Nice.
them up. You can use them when I'm dead. That's what I'm saying. Not now. Right now, I'm needing them.
I like it. We got your initiative calculated out, your wounds are calculated, got all that set. Okay. That brings us to Jay.
I'm still picture hunting, but I'm
Yeah.
playing Octus Saiyan. He's from a shrine world with the Inquisitor faction as an exorcist, and his role is warrior. I think that I think from the shrine world, he was raised, trained, indoctrinated into this exorcist role. Um, his talents are ever vigilant. As I read through the ever vigilant talent, it looks like that even when he's asleep, he's aware,
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty that's pretty hot. I picked the Deadeye talent and tactical movement. So again, I think with ranged weapons and on the hunt, I think that's what he does, right? Um, he's got the shotgun shell casing as a curio. Was that what that was? A curio?
Uh-huh.
Um, I'm not sure what that means yet, but I think it's something significant only because I ended up with a shotgun as a weapon. So I think that may be his primary weapon, and I think they're tied together. I don't have the fiction for that yet. But I'm leaning hard into my divination that it is better to die for the Emperor than live for yourself. Maybe the casing was a failed attempt at putting him down, and so he hangs on to it because the Emperor decided clearly it wasn't time for him to go. There's still more work to be done. Um, yeah, I think he's all about the job, right? All
Mm-hmm.
about whatever the Inquisitor says we have to do to the letter. That's what we're doing.
Nice. The tactical movement is nice because you have a move and an action on your turn, and taking cover normally is eats up your action. But when you're undercover, it gives you significant armor. So that is nice and useful. Uh, all right. So we've got our Inquisitor, we've got our burglar, we've got our exorcist. Dom, tell us about your character.
I will be playing Hapno Nodol, the Inhuman compiler of the default variable from the Adeptus Mechanicus, gender unspecified as of yet. From the talents I've got Data Devil, so they're able to basically read text in half the time it would normally take, and they can easily, effortlessly comb through the data records of the Imperium, whether they be in analog or the digital format. Also, it's got eidetic memory, so they can record a lot more clearly than normal people would with, and they do not have to make tests to record visual details they saw. I imagined Hapner to be, well, I guess, as I said, from the Adeptus Mechanicus system comes from the Forge where they basically spend their whole life researching the machines, building and maintaining machines, and praying to the Omniscience. And I think that perhaps how they got involved in the Inquisition, not in the Inquisition, but in to patron this Inquisition, is that we do know that the Imperium of Man needs the Adeptus Mechanicus to help them build and maintain all their equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And the Inquisition is no exception to that. So I think that perhaps Hapno was maybe like one of the mechanicus that was sent over like to the Inquisition to our patron to help maintain perhaps that patron's basic equipment from the troops, their vehicles, the starships, and that's how Hapno got into servitude of this patron. Some weapons they just have a knife and a last pistol, nothing really as great as the other four.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly just there to help figure out the data that they find, and from the looks of it, it's going to be patching them up since it looks like the only one with a decent medicine skill.
Yeah.
And I guess from for the Curio Compass Needle, at the moment, I want to say that perhaps that was a mentor given to Hapno from their mentor, who helped them teach them about the Omniscience, that the compass needle was given. I'll probably come up with more for that as we play, but at the moment, I think I'll leave it just at that. And personality-wise, I think Hapno is basically just pretty straightforward. But as always, every single time I play a character, I go into it thinking about one thing, and then I usually just change it to something completely else.
Right.
Midway through, so I'll adjust the personality probably as I go, as I find the groove with the rest of the characters. But at the moment, I'm just thinking to them to be pretty straightforward.
Okay. So next time we're going to talk about like how maybe we'll talk about some missions that you've been on with one another, that kind of thing. We're going to do that for setup for characters. We'll see where your patron is at, maybe get a look at some of those benefits that we have there. Maybe start out in that Obscurus and maybe foreshadow some of the other limitations of your character, of your patron through that, and we'll send you out on a mission. So think about what you want to do in terms of those XP. Talents are nice. Raising skills are nice. I would recommend those two things.
500, right? 500.
Yeah, 500 points.
500.
500
wow,
points. That seems excessive.
That is insane.
That's
Yeah.
5 talents.
Yeah.
Last time I had 500 XP to spend. That was probably last century, last millennium or something like that.
So that's where we're going to stop today. We'll get rolling, playing. Next time we'll check in again and reintroduce. We'll do Stars and Wishes next time. Kind of cover this and that. I want to thank you all for playing through my prototype. I iterated on this sheet multiple times, but I'm glad to have a chance to see it in practice and know what I need to tweak.
Right.
So that work goes along. So I am going to stop the recording.